The man who multiplied himself. There once lived a man named Elias who was sharp in mind and skilled with his hands. He could see patterns others missed, solve problems quickly, and explain complex things with uncommon clarity. People often told him, "You're talented." Yet despite this, Elias found himself constantly knocking on doors that barely opened. He asked for meetings, he asked for chances, he asked for trust, and more often than not, he was met with polite nods, long silences, or promises that dissolved into nothing. Elias hated the feeling, not of rejection, but of begging. Begging to be seen, begging to be believed, begging for clients who needed his skills yet treated him as optional. He knew he had value, but value unproven is invisible, and invisible things are ignored. At night, Elias would sit at his desk surrounded by unfinished ideas. He had notebooks full of plans and theories, but very little to show the world. He worked hard, yet somehow nothing stacked. Every effort felt isolated, one task done, then gone, leaving no residue behind. "What am I missing?" he whispered one evening. That night, he dreamed. In the dream, Elias stood in a wide workshop filled with mirrors. In each mirror, he saw himself, not reflections, but versions. Each one was focused, calm, and working on a single task without distraction. A voice spoke, low and steady. "You are not lacking talent," it said. "You are lacking multiplication." When Elias woke, the idea clung to him like a seed refusing to be ignored. He realized something painful but true. His problem wasn't effort, it was singularity. Everything depended on him showing up, pushing, convincing, and performing in real time. When he stopped, everything stopped. No momentum, no trail, no proof. So Elias made a radical decision. If he couldn't physically duplicate himself, he would functionally do it. He began creating what he called his others. One version of him worked only on documenting his work, writing, recording, and preserving outcomes so nothing disappeared after completion. Another version focused entirely on repetition, doing the same valuable action again and again until it became efficient and refined. Another handled systems, turning chaos into process so tasks could be repeated without thought. At first, it was exhausting. Building the others took more effort than simply reacting to the day. But Elias noticed something strange. For the first time, his work stayed. What he finished yesterday now supported what he did today. His efforts stacked like bricks instead of sand. Results lingered long enough to be seen. Weeks passed, then months. Elias stopped asking for attention and began leaving evidence instead. A solved problem here, a finished project there, a visible outcome, quietly standing where his words once had been. People began to notice, not him, but the trail he left behind. Someone asked, "How did you do that?" Another asked, "Can you do it again?" And Elias could, because the others were working even when he rested. His productivity was no longer frantic, it was deliberate, no longer desperate, it was predictable. His clones didn't rush, they didn't plead, they simply produced. Soon, Elias realized something else had changed. His voice had slowed. He no longer explained himself too quickly or over-justified his worth. He spoke less, but when he did, people listened. Not because he demanded belief, but because his track record spoke first. He no longer chased clients, he qualified them. People came to him with phrases he had never heard before. "I've been watching your work. You seem consistent. You're the obvious choice. Undeniable." The word landed softly in his chest. Elias remembered who he used to be, the talented man waving his hands, hoping someone would notice the fire inside him. He felt compassion for that version, but no longing to return. Talent had been his seed. Productivity became his soil. Multiplication became his harvest. One evening, Elias returned to the workshop from his dream, not in sleep, but in memory. He imagined the mirrors again. This time, they were empty. He didn't need them anymore. The others were no longer separate. They had fused into who he was. Elias understood the final lesson then. Credibility is not claimed. Calm is not practiced. Undeniability is not demanded. They are built quietly, repeatedly, and in plain sight. And from that day on, Elias walked through the world unhurried, unafraid, and unignored, not because he had become louder, but because his work had learned how to speak without him.